Hello, everyone. Today is October 20th, 2017. My name is Caleb, as per usual, and today I have a special guest, my buddy Jordan. Say hi.
Hello.
So, the reason I have Jordan over is because he is a Liverpool supporter, and this weekend's biggest game is Liverpool visiting Tottenham. So, before we get started, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Born in the States, and like most kids in my generation, started playing soccer when I was, could walk. So 4 years old, 5 years old. Then when I was 9, my dad moved us overseas. I lived in England, and one of the first teams I ever saw on the television was Liverpool with a 20-year-old Michael Owen and a 19-year-old Steven Gerrard. So kids that I could relate to, kind of, in the way they're youngsters. And went to Anfield, sat on the cop, just a spiritual experience, and ever since then been obsessed. Blood of red, as they say. And a copite through and through ever since.
Very nice. So, unlike a lot of, say, American fans, you have an actual reason as to why you're a fan. You didn't just watch them on TV and they were good.
Well, to be fair, they were pretty good when I started supporting them. But I mean, I was more naturally introduced to it than I, just say picking a team off FIFA and liking their stats and then watching them on the weekend and this team just won 6-0. Yeah, this is my team. But yeah, there was a little more natural. And to be quite honest, I've suffered through the struggles. So I feel like it's not a glory hunting thing, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like I related to Liverpool fans more than any other team because of the heartbreak.
Yeah.
And I think you guys can understand my heartbreak, and I understand yours.
Yeah.
Probably not as much, though, because we haven't won stuff like you
guys.
Yeah.
Our heartbreak is limited mainly to the league. And that, because, we've been fortunate enough in the last 20 years to win the European Cup again, and an FA Cup, and the League Cup. And, I'm not trying to rub it.
We won a League Cup in there.
2011, right? Yeah, with what was his name? Was it De Ramos or Juan De Ramos?
Juan De Ramos.
Was he
and then he got fired a week later. Ironically, that's when I started watching. I think it was 2000. I want to say 2004.
Okay.
No, we beat Chelsea in 2008, but we won something. I started watching around 2004, and it was the season right after they won. So I was like, all right, these guys aren't great. They're decent. I've never heard of them, but obviously they're okay. Yeah. I wouldn't mind supporting them. And then as soon as I started watching them, they were 17th.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe this is my doing.
I remember those days.
Maybe I should back away.
I remember Spurs hovering down below right at the table. That's why this is it's ridiculous that this is a big game this weekend. I mean, Tottenham is historically one of the bigger clubs in England.
Right.
And they have a pretty rich history and being in London and all that. But yeah, 7 years, but 10, 15 years ago, this would have been a top 4 to 6 team playing, 15 to 17 Spurs.
Yeah.
And trying to, it's a big game. Now it's one of the bigger matches in England, I guess. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it
to
is.
me, because the pub I go to, it's owned by 2 Liverpudlians.
Yeah.
And they give me a hard time. But I go in, every time I go in with all the Liverpool guys. And I'm an honorary
Of all
fan.
The clubs that I have angst towards, Spurs is down there on the angst. It might grow. If you guys win stuff, then I'll have more of a distaste for you guys. But as it's hard to hate Spurs. They haven't gone out and splashed millions on players. They haven't sold out to a big Russian or Middle Eastern oligarch who owns oil or whatever.
Right.
They've kind of done it, the proper way, so to speak. And so it's to be respected. I mean, out of the other top 5, 6, 7 teams, they're probably the ones that have done it the most correctly. So it's to be respected. So I don't really have too much angst.
Yeah. And see, I do appreciate that we've done it the right way. Because I can say we've done it the right way, whereas other teams have not. And I feel like another thing that we can relate to is we had a superstar, we sold them, we tried to reinvest the money, and it didn't go so well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you guys did a little better than this, but definitely, the Luis Suarez, Gareth Bale comparisons, and they went to the opposite clubs. It's
I didn't think about that until now.
Well, but you guys also, that's the thing, your players all go to Real Madrid, right? And ours all go to Barcelona.
Yeah.
You guys lost Luka Modric, Gareth Bale. We lost Javi Mascherano, Luis Suarez. Actually, I guess we had a few. Arbeloa went to Real Madrid, and obviously Xabi Alonso. But
Did Michael Owen go?
yeah, but that was back in the day, and that was a complete. I mean, the lad won the Ballon d'Or, right? He won the Ballon d'Or, and he's on top of the world. He thinks he's big shit. He should have stayed. He left the year we won the Champions League.
Yeah.
He left the year. He went to Real Madrid, sat on the bench, came back to Newcastle a year later. He should have stayed.
I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping that would happen to Bale.
Yeah.
Like, he would leave and just have a miserable time and then come crawling back and we'd be like, yeah, I guess we'll take you back.
But, I mean, he's just a menace, man. I can't hate on Bale forever.
Yeah, I can.
He's a Southampton lad anyways. He had no loyalty.
I know. But Redknapp made him.
That's true.
He
would
be a nobody.
That's true.
He'd be a nobody.
Harry Redknapp, yeah.
Old Airy. So, tell me a little bit. I didn't watch your Champions League game, but apparently it was
yes,
like a football score, American football.
7-0. So, I feel like more than any other match coming up, so to speak, that this one had more of a... Both teams needed to do something in their Champions League matches to kind of build a platform for them to go into the weekend. We've been struggling to win games. Obviously, we had a great performance against Man United, but going into the third match of the Champions League, we hadn't won a match yet. We should have beaten. We should have beaten Sevilla at home and blew the lead. And we definitely should have beaten CSK Moscow. Well, it was not CSK. Spartak Moscow. Definitely should have beaten them with the opportunities we created, but. It's one of those things where our attack just wasn't meshing. So we needed to, it's Maribor. I understand every team in the Champions League, blah, blah, blah. You're going away in Europe. It's Slovenia, whatever, yada, yada. Eastern Europe, no. The hooligans out there, can you handle it? Lads went out there, scored a goal in the first 5 minutes, which is huge. We haven't done that in God knows how long. Is score an early goal and just take all the pressure off. We've been creating chances out the wazoo. I think we've created the most chances in the Premier League. But yeah, I mean, we came out. And Mo Salah looked like he was on fire. Firmino, he bagged a brace. Coutinho was influencing the play. Oxlade-Chamberlain scored a goal. That's one goal per every 35 million pounds that we spent on him. It'll only go down from here. It's a bargain waiting to happen. And and the key thing is that we were able to arrest a couple of guys, bring Firmino off early. Bring Salah off early, because our attacking options, though numerous, it's really within the system. We need those guys to be clicking, and they finally started looking like they knew what they were doing together out there. So it was good.
This is, I guess, one of those instances of Maribor was exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yes, in many ways, yeah. And it wasn't like playing, like, for instance, no offense to your group, but Apoel, who was like a consistent walkover. Like Maribor had a history in both the Europa League and the Champions League of giving, like Chelsea went there and only drew the last time they played them. And I think you guys or Arsenal went there and drew as well. Because after the game, everyone's going, oh, it's only a Maribor. You beat them 7-0. But it was a lower level club, but at the same time, decent enough that it was a bit of a challenge. And it was like, okay, the lads can feel like they've actually accomplished something, not just gone out and beaten a local charity side. It's like, okay, we've actually done something. The biggest away win in Europe. All the players were on Instagram posting that, a record-breaking win, yada yada. So that's good. It builds morale and confidence. Right. But obviously, you guys, I would say that you guys, even though you got a smaller point total, you arguably had the better result.
Part of me wishes I didn't feel so good about a draw. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it just shows how the gulf between Real Madrid and Tottenham, even though everyone's like, oh, you guys belong. Yeah, maybe we do. But I felt great after the draw. even I feel like if we really belonged, I would have been more disappointed. Yeah. But I wasn't. I was ecstatic. I was just dancing the entire day. Nothing. I could have gotten a flat tire that day, and I would have still been happy.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at... So everyone goes to the Champions League, and they're like, we're going to win it. And it's about, instilling fear into the other teams before you reach them, And so if you get drawn in a group like the one you got drawn in, it could either be like to your detriment, or if you get through it, it's like, it'll boost your confidence. And the toughest games in Europe right now, in my opinion, would be Man City at Man City, Real Madrid at Real Madrid, Barcelona at Barcelona, and maybe Bayern, even though they're kind of struggling, but Bayern at Bayern Munich. So if you can go in, and if you'd won that, you've just beaten the champions. Like, you're playing the champions of Europe. I know they're struggling in the La Liga or whatever, but that's one of the toughest games in Europe. If you're going to make a statement, and it's about, like, once you get to the knockout stages, and I told you before the group, I was like, if you guys can draw Real Madrid twice, split the game with Dortmund, and beat Apoel twice, you'll go through.
Yeah.
And so you're already halfway. You've drawn Real Madrid once.
Right.
You've beaten Dortmund, and you've beaten Apoel. So you can, you're in a great position. And going away to the Bernabeu and getting a draw is no small feat. And in reality, was it Wanyama who gave up the penalty?
No. It was REA, new guy.
Oh, yes. And, to be honest, it was a silly mistake.
It was?
So keeper made a couple saves for Real Madrid. You guys could have walked away with all 3 points.
I was freaking out. You know when you watch the Premier League and you see Harry Kane get the ball in the box, you're like, it's a goal.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10. 11 times out of 10.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah.
That's mad. When he got that ball, I started screaming because I was like, we just won this game. There were like 10 minutes left in the game. I just said, we just beat Real Madrid in Real Madrid. Stuff it. And then when it went wide, I was like, no way. There's no way he didn't hit the target. And then they showed the replay. And I'm pretty sure Taylor Navas I don't think he got a full finger. I think he got I think it wasn't even his finger. It might have just been the material on the glove.
Yeah, it was the gloves. It was, because it didn't really bounce drastically away. It kind of just shifted the inch left that it needed to.
Had it been, I looked at it 8 times. I'm not lying. I'm like, if it had been 4 inches higher, it would have gone in.
I think it's better for you though that you drew coming into the match with us, because if you beat Real Madrid, that's a huge,
Yeah.
Tying them is kind of okay. But if you guys had beaten them, I would be more confident. I know it sounds weird, but if you guys had beaten Real Madrid, I would have been more confident. Because, dude, I feel like there's 2, hexes that you guys have over you in this week, and that's one is getting through the group in Europe, and the other one is beating us because you haven't done it since 2012.
Games. Yeah, 10 games.
Yeah. But, so if you'd beaten Real Madrid, you're essentially through the group. You get that monkey out of your bag, you kind of have a little party. You're still in the group, you still got to play games,
True.
But now you can kind of turn your attention fully, okay, now let's prove to Liverpool once and for all that they can't beat us. And if you'd beaten Real Madrid, I would have been okay, you know what? They beat Real Madrid. They're pretty confident. They're probably feeling like they can come into this match and we've beaten Real Madrid. What more work do we need to do on the training ground, kind of thing? Liverpool's no Real Madrid, yada yada.
See, I don't think Pochettino does that. I think Pochettino will be like, you think you beat Real Madrid? You think you're anybody? You haven't won anything.
Oh, but that's the manager. Players at the end of the day are human beings, and
True.
If you go away to Real Madrid and you win, you're gonna think about that for a little bit. But it could be, the draw is a great result because you weren't expected to draw. You were supposed to lose.
We were.
So it's and like you said, you walked away going yes. I haven't yet to see one Spurs fan that was oh, I can't believe we drew that. That was a disappointing result. So there's an up and up, but it's not you've plateaued and hit we beat Real Madrid. Oh, what else is there to do in the world? I don't know. Let's
maybe win 2 games at Wembley in a row.
Yeah, there you go. There's the next step right there. But it's. You guys are definitely in a pretty good form coming in, and that result in Europe will do you well with your status around the continent and boasting. I don't think people will. You think you guys will finally get through the group, and that people won't be laughing at Tottenham once if they get drawn against them in the round of 16.
Well, we made it the first time with Redknapp. We made that famous run, and the funny part was I remember very very vividly that Real Madrid game. Because I had just gotten eye surgery, and everything was super bright. I had all my blinds closed, the lights off. I turned my TV, the brightness, to the lowest I could see.
Yeah.
I had sunglasses on. I had a blanket over my head to block out any residual light. And I sat on my couch and I watched that game, and I was just heartbroken.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, it was freaking Adebayor that scored that first goal. Peter Crouch gets sent off for nothing. And then I just remember Pepe and what's his name? That other Brazilian dude just celebrating the red card like if... just no class.
Yeah.
No class at all. Marcelo,
Yeah,
that's his
Marcelo,
name.
yeah.
No class at all. And then they ended up putting I think Adebayor scored another, and it's just a heartbreaking way to like get eliminated. Because then you're like, oh yeah, well, we're going back to the lane next time, so maybe we'll have a chance to... No.
Not that far behind, though.
Yeah.
Even though that Real Madrid's wasn't the same side, but still, yeah.
Right. And then our second ever Champions League season was last year.
Yeah.
And that was
a
a disaster.
Well, that's like the last time we were in it. I think you guys were more like when you're Chelsea City and you're used to being in the Champions League every year, it's not like a party. Like you go without going to the Champions League for a couple seasons, and like you get there. Like for Liverpool, like we finished fourth, and we were so excited as a fan base. And I know we made fun of Arsenal for years. Oh, you finished fourth, but honestly, like it's because we've been out of the Champions League so long that it was like and like the last time we were in the Champions League, we were totally tourists. We came into our group, we drew Real Madrid, Basel, and I can't even remember the team name now. There were some Ludogorets. I don't even know where they are. I can't even tell you which country. All I know is that we drew them on the last match day, and that's why we didn't go through. And it was just like, oh, Real Madrid's coming to town. They walked the park. Ronaldo scored a beautiful goal and got a standing ovation from the cop. And then we went to Real Madrid, and we didn't even play Steven Gerrard. He sat on the bench, and Kolo Touré was our man of the match. And we were just tourists, and we were like, oh, it's so fun being here. But that's what happens. And then now this is your second season in a row. You're like, all right, you know what? Let's get down to business. And you got a tough group, and you're doing the business. Yeah. And I'm happy that we're doing the business too, because we could have been tourists again. But Jurgen Klopp doesn't let that happen.
When was the last time before this season
that we were the Champions League? Oh, 2008, 2009.
Really, that long?
Yeah, and we got knocked out by Fiorentina.
Wait. It's been 10 years?
I mean,
9 years? 8
yeah,
years?
we won it in 2005, and then we went to the final in 2006. And then next year we were in a group with Chelsea, and I think we got through. And then they knocked us out in the quarterfinals, I believe. And then then we went out the next year in the group stages, and we just floundered around in the Europa League, and we never got back because we just couldn't finish top four. Because that was the days of Roy Hodgson and the end of Hicks and Gillette and selling off all our assets. And it was a dark time, man. It was dark.
I can't believe it's been that long.
I mean, it's when you put it 2008, 2009 to 2017. It's a long time, but it feels like it was just yesterday.
I know. That's why I thought it had been maybe 4
No,
seasons.
it's been a while. I mean, yeah, you just can't crack that top four. As soon as you fall out of that top four, it's hard to get back in.
Tell Manchester United that.
Yeah, right. But I mean, they got lucky. They won the Europa League or whatever. But
I'm not even going to complain because that's the rule.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's a dumb rule, but I'm not. We could just talk about how they don't deserve.
Yeah.
When they finish sixth,
I think they finished sixth. Yeah, they finished sixth.
You don't deserve it.
Yeah,
you didn't earn it.
Whatever. Their time will come. They'll get through the knockout stages and they'll play a proper side. Hopefully, they'll draw like Real Madrid, Barcelona right off the bat, and they will get walked right over. And I don't. Mourinho isn't a tactical genius, but he doesn't have the players to play that type of football on the continent. Even when he was doing well with Chelsea, he wasn't parking the bus every match.
Right.
He was coming out. He had, at the time, Damien Duff, a young Joe Cole, Didier Drogba, and coming out on the continent and taking on teams and beating them. In fact, the reason he didn't get to the Champions League final with Chelsea was because Liverpool parked the bus the 2 times we played them in the semifinal, and just got the 0-0 at the bridge, or got the 0 the first time at the bridge, won 1-0, and then 1-0, 1-0, split the games, and then went to penalties and beat them. I mean, that's why he parks the bus against us so much. He's so bitter.
He is.
But yeah, they'll run into the problems further on down the line. I know.
Their first team in the top 10 were you 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah.
That was just. He's a coward.
Well, there's 2 ways to win the league. You can beat all the top teams and you split your games to the bottom teams and hope that's enough, or you can just draw all the top teams and beat all the bottom teams.
I guess.
Because if you think about it, if you draw the top four, if you think about it like the top five, if you draw all the other top four teams, you got 14 other games. 28 was that 28 games, right?
Yeah.
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 So that's 28 times 3. That's 60. That's 84 points.
Yeah.
Just if you beat all the teams that you're supposed to beat. And it's a smart. I mean, but it sucks because you want the game to be like, for instance, the game this weekend, Tottenham Liverpool, will be open play, end to end, plenty of opportunities. I don't doubt that both teams will score, and it'll be like a good promotional piece for the game and for the league on a worldwide basis. But then, like last week, Manchester United Liverpool is the biggest match in club football. It's 500 million viewers every time it's on television, and they all tuned in for a 0-0 Warfest.
But one team. The thing is, all right. I guess we can start getting into it. He could have come out and beat you because your defense isn't very good, but he chose not to. He can't. If he does that against City are going to destroy United.
There's a chance, but I don't think he will. He has a thing against Liverpool. He just has a thing against Liverpool. That's the season when Steven Gerrard slipped. Chelsea were still mathematically in it, but they had to beat us. And instead of coming to Anfield to win the game, he came to Anfield to stop us from winning the league. Like he has something against the club, and it's because of the Champions League or whatever, and because he feels our goal in 2005 didn't go in, and he feels that we've cheated him somehow.
But everyone has wronged Mourinho. Everyone in the world
That's true.
has ever,
And so he just, he doesn't care. He really doesn't care. He's that selfish. He does not care about anything other than his own ego, which at times it could be really beneficial to you when you're in the position that he is. But at other times, hubris can be your demise, so to speak. And I see it being his demise. I think it's past him. I think his time at Chelsea and Inter Milan were his best, and now I think slowly he was at Real Madrid with all the money in the world, with superstars, and
not to say in his defense, but it was at the time Barcelona was the greatest club team in the history of club team.
That's only because Real Madrid couldn't put up a fight under Jose Mourinho. If they could have put up a fight, who knows? You could have stolen a couple league titles from them. Could have stolen Copa del Rey once or twice there. And if you're so pitiful, if you had just beaten them, that's the reason why there's a dom. And then you even let Atletico Madrid get in front of you.
This is true.
So it's not just that Barcelona was the best. It's that you let Atletico get in front of you and run by you. And so I think it's past him.
So you don't think United win the league?
No, I think Romelu Lukaku once again was invisible against a top team. He had his one chance and he missed it. I think that midfield, even with Paul Pogba healthy, even with Marouane Fellaini, is not in the top 5 midfields in the Premier League. I think their defense is super helped out by the fact they have David De Gea. And ultimately, if, the only reason they even finished 6th last year is because of David De Gea. And before that, the only reason they even finished top 4 was because of David De Gea. And how long can a goalkeeper carry your team?
I've been saying, I wish I had some form of going back and just counting the points that he has saved them over the last, since Ferguson left.
Yeah.
I contend that without him, they would have finished bottom 10 at least twice.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
They finished in the top 4 once since he left.
The biggest piece of, the thing that saved Man United above all else was a terrible fax machine.
Yeah.
Because the transfer deal was done. He was going to Real Madrid. The bags were packed. And the other thing that saved Man United is that Keylor Navas became a great goalkeeper, a world class, in his own right. To be fair, on his day, Keylor Navas is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Even though he's CONCACAF goalkeeper. He's playing in Real Madrid. He's the out starter of Real Madrid. He took over for Casillas. Yeah. He's pretty good. And the fact that Real Madrid found a goalkeeper out of thin air that they thought was just going to be their backup forever, and he's actually pretty good, that helped Man United because they haven't come back and knocked on the door. But they lost De Gea. Injury, that's the thing. He could get injured out of nowhere. He could all of a sudden lose form, and all of it comes tumbling down. Because of the game last week, we could have scored a goal in the first, I think it was the first 20, 30 minutes. He saves it with his foot ridiculously. If that goes in, now Man United has to open up, and now we're gashing, we're opening them up.
Yeah.
And as soon as that bus for Jose Mourinho, which is really reliant on just David De Gea in so many ways. Phil Jones is not great. Chris Smalling is not great.
They're the two worst.
Eric Bailly could be great, but he's okay right now. Like, has he really been spectacular? And their wing backs, like they have a winger playing right back in Valencia. Like, he does a good job, but he's still not a right back. It's like James Milner, just more athletic.
Right.
Like, at some point, it doesn't work. And on the other side, they have Matthew Darmian, who, okay, and then a host of youngsters. Right? And who is their left back? Like, Man United fans like to make fun of Liverpool. Like, oh, your left back, James. Well, who is Man United's left back? Could someone, Ashley Young, from time to time, right?
From time to time.
Yeah? Okay, so what are we talking about here?
Right.
So it's all just built on, like, David De Gea could just make 5 saves in one game, and they'll go down the other end and bundle the ball over the line, or the goalkeeper will catch it and fall into the net like happened against Benfica.
That's what I saw that.
Some clubs, man, it's just like... some clubs have these narratives that just happen. Like they build themselves in recent time. Like, for instance, Spursy being Spursy.
Right.
At the end of it all, like at the very last breath, Spurs will always collapse, and like Liverpool will never win the league, and Manchester United is just gonna get lucky as shit all the time, and they're just gonna benefit from these outrageous strokes of luck recently.
Yeah.
They're gonna win the FA Cup out of nowhere. They're gonna get to the Europa League final and play a U23 team. Like they're gonna have the greatest goalie of modern era, or the last 5 years, and he's just gonna win them points consistently. Like, he's just at some point, like, a shot's just got to be out of your reach, right?
Right.
But no, they're always just enough, enough. So like, the inch left here, or an inch right there, And it's I was we played them last week. After that save, I just went online and I was looking up all his saves against us. There's several games where we tied Man United. And it's just because David De Gea made a ridiculous save.
Right.
And yeah, I'll have faith that, he can't a goalkeeper can't carry a team to the title, and they can't carry a team to the Champions League title.
Right. Oh, no. I don't even think they're in the conversation for Champions League. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they hadn't played anyone good. They finally played someone that threatened them, and they just, shut down.
Yeah. That's exactly what they did, and it's kind of funny watching United fans justify it now in hindsight, because when Jose Mourinho used to do that with Chelsea,
it's just it boggles the
well,
mind.
There's fan bases that have no backbone, and they're like the beginning is Chelsea. Sorry, I know your other co-hosts, but Chelsea legitimately they have no backbone. Well, they'll sell Kevin De Bruyne comes to the club. He's a great player. They sell him. He's crap. He goes to Man City. He's still crap, even though he's the best player in the league right now. Mohamed Salah goes off to Roma, who kills the Serie A, is amazing. He's going to be crap. We don't know. He's crap. He's crap.
He was crap with us, therefore he's crap with everyone.
And but if he came back, he's amazing. And it's just all so Rafa Benitez is the cringiest of the cringe. Like, they would swear up and down that Rafa Benitez was an evil man. Then he comes and wins in the Europa League, and they're like, Rafa. Fernando Torres, they sing his name like he's a club legend, even though he did more with us. Oh, he won a Champions League with whatever. That was I don't want to talk about it, but there's just some fan bases, Man United fans, since Alex Ferguson has left, because they had a 20-year period where they could safely be like, oh, Fergie, and they were all justified in having their dumb opinions. But now that they have to defend Jose Mourinho, they're slowly being found out as not maybe being the most intelligent fan base that's out there.
So, I have a friend, I have known him for years and years, and he's a Manchester United fan. And he always hated Mourinho, always. Hated him at Chelsea, at Inter, at Madrid, at Chelsea. And then when he got hired, I was like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, he'll probably win us the league his second season,
and then everything will be forgiven.
Yeah.
No.
I was like, all right, buddy.
No, thank you. That's when we got linked to Mourinho it was right before Klopp, and I think even right before Rodgers. Mourinho was one of the names that was being floated out there. And I was like, nope, please no. Please no. I can't cheer for that man. There's too much angst built up inside of me. No.
He's a bad person.
No. That'd be like if we went and signed Ander or Herrera. I'd be like, I'm not going to cheer for him.
No.
I'm never going to cheer for him. I'll claim he's a terrible footballer up and down.
Yeah, he is pretty bad.
But it's Man United aside.
That's true. All right.
I want to talk about Man United. They make my blood boil.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? I want to ask you because, so you've seen us. We tie Man United, and we beat Maribor 7-0. Are you scared? Are you?
Here's the thing with you guys. And I see it every time because, like I said, I go to the pub and I watch you guys pretty much every week. I think when you guys are, like, chugging, you have maybe one of the scariest attacks that I've seen. Because when you got, well, I don't want to say thankfully he's injured, but thankfully Sadio Mane is injured. Like, I really like him. I said, what, this is his second year with you or third?
Yeah, second year.
He was the best buy last season.
He was.
Out of any team that made any purchase, I think he was the best purchase out of anyone.
He was. It was a bargain too at $30 million now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a phenomenal player. He makes you guys better. Whenever you guys, whomever's making sideways passes, you give it to Mane, he'll run. He'll run
down the line. Yeah.
If you had him and Salah on the same team, I would say that's a very scary proposition, especially if you have a healthy Coutinho and Firmino is, doing his thing. In the midfield and back, I think you guys are, it's like a different team. It's like not even the same team. I look at your defense and I wonder how you could, like, does Klopp not realize who, like, I don't understand how you spend money on Salah, which is a great buy, but you didn't buy a defender. Or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
And
I just look at that and I'm like, this is going to be the reason why you guys don't win anything. It's your defense. Right? That's how I see it. So
fair point.
I see a scary attack and I see a defense that I know we'll be able to score. So it just depends. Can we shut you guys down? I mean, it depends how we line up, but I mean, since Pochettino took over, we have the best defense in the league. We've let in the least amount of goals since he took over, like over the span of the last 4 seasons. And now that he's playing 3 at the back with the new kid, Davinson Sanchez, who just fit into the team like he'd been there his entire life.
Yeah.
We got Vertonghen on the left, we got Toby on the right, and we got Sanchez in the middle, and it works. And without Sadio Mane, I fear you guys slightly less. I don't take you guys for granted, but I think we have a good chance. So I think, depending on how he toys with the formation, we do have some key injuries though.
Like who?
Well, Wanyama's not ready.
Okay.
Who I think he was our signing of the season last season. He's only played twice. Lamella's still hurt. Rose is still hurt.
Yeah.
Well, Rose played.
He played.
A little bit.
Saw him. He played.
Yeah, like for 5 minutes.
Okay. So if he comes back, do you switch back to a 4-4 or a 4-2?
I don't think so. I think he plays wing.
Okay.
Because I think we'll play 3 at the back, and whoever's healthy.
Okay.
It could be Davies, because he didn't travel because he was sick. Apparently, he was ill.
Okay.
Then you got Rose. They play on the left. Then you got Trippier and REA on the right. And everyone's healthy in that regard. But with Wanyama hurt, and then Lamella's hurt, but he's been hurt for like a year and a half. And then depending on if Rose is healthy. But I think Wanyama's our biggest miss.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have it can be, but it's not at all the time a boss in midfield. We don't have big guys in there. I mean, Emre Can's a stocky man, but yeah, if you had Wanyama with Dyer, does Dyer also play in the holding midfield? Yeah, and then you guys would probably pretty much control the central of the park there just with your size, especially if you pack in with 3 center backs. And, I mean, the key matchup, honestly, is going to be whoever has out there on that wing with Salah, especially if you're playing a 3-5-2 or whatever.
He's on the right side, right?
Yeah, he is. So Danny Rose is left back?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they would go head to head. And I remember last year Danny Rose saying something to the effect that Sadio Mane was the toughest opponent he had gone up against.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Mohamed Salah isn't same level, but at the same time, Danny Rose was playing in a formation at that time that whilst Pochettino likes to use his wingbacks to come forward, when you play three at the back, the outside backs that are doing a lot more running up and down, they're actually like proper wingers, and he's going to have to tuck back in consistently.
Yeah.
Just on the attack, because three center backs against the pace of Salah in the back, and then Coutinho and Firmino knocking the ball around. You are lucky that Mane's hurt, just because I would fancy us with the pace on the outside. Not that both of your wing backs aren't going to be able to always come back and cover, as they should. Because, to be honest, we're both attacking-minded sides. I mean, you guys do have the best defense, but at the end of the day, like, you're built on attractive attacking football. So there's going to be that space in behind to take advantage of. And in regards to pace, I think we outpace you in attack. I think you guys just have, I don't know, you just have more of the gel together. You guys have been playing longer together with the players that you have and the system that you have longer. And it's your advantage. Our advantage is our pace. But we're missing half of the solution. I didn't know that you guys had switched to three at the back, to be completely honest.
Yeah, he tried it a couple times last season, especially when Chelsea did it to us. First game, they beat us. And I think he liked what he saw. He wouldn't admit it. He wouldn't say it out loud to anyone. But he liked what he saw. And then he tried it a couple times, most notably against Arsenal, which was like, oh, what's he thinking? Well, why would you do that?
But it worked. Yeah.
He take every once in a while he'll just do something really risky.
Like he played Llorente up front with Kane against Real Madrid.
Yeah, he even did an interview. He was, he said a lot of people, their reaction to the lineup was, I think this is his quote. It's like, "What the f?" That's what you people say. That's what he said.
That's what you people say.
It was.
What do you mean, you people, Mauricio? What do you mean, Mauricio?
Yeah, but it worked out.
Hey,
and so we'll see. I don't think he takes that many. I don't think he does anything like fancy. I think he tried it true. I think that's what he'll do.
So when you guys play three at the back, you play three midfield and then the two outside backs and two up front, or one up front?
So it's usually, we'll usually do the three defenders, the two holding mids, one of them that can pass. Oh, Dembele, that's the other one we're missing. Key player, we're missing Moose. Because usually it was last year was Wanyama and Dembele, and Wanyama is like a brick wall, and Dembele would just create and like open up spaces for Christian Eriksen and Dele. We're missing both of them, and I think Dyer and Winks are good Wanyama and Dembele diet versions, but they're not the real deal. They're not the full sugary goodness that the other two are. So I think it's going to be a little.
So what do you usually play then? You play three, two wing backs, two holding, and then what's the formation of the front three?
The front three, I guess it's very fluid. Usually,
Kane's up top.
Obviously, and then the bottom three kind of just.
So there's two. Is there just two attacking midfielders that sit in behind them, or is it one and then like a false nine, or is it?
No, it's definitely three.
Okay.
And then they just.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But.
No, I just. So when we played Arsenal three at the back, and obviously we trounced them. And I don't know. I just think it's. In practice, it sounds like you're packing it in because you got your three defensive. You got five defensive players right there in the middle, and you got your wing backs. And the problem is Liverpool's system is built to play on the wings, and that's where you literally have two players on the wing then. Like for our system, we have our right back, and in front of him is our right winger, and we have our left back, and in front of him is his left winger.
Right. In
your guys' system, and in the three in the back, and with the two wing backs, you've only got one guy on either wing, and that's where Albi Moreno playing with Coutinho up against your right back, and he's got to shut that down without having to drag over a center back and a defensive midfielder. So when you start opening up the middle of the park, which is what you're trying to protect when you play three at the back. So to be honest, the times we play teams that play that formation have done well.
Well,
Maybe he'll come out
with 4.
I would imagine that he'd want to come out. You guys are at home. You want to control the midfield. You want to, boss the game.
Maybe he comes out with the traditional 4-2-3-1.
I can't speak to it. It's your team. I can't. I would be if I was Jurgen Klopp and I looked at the team sheet and I saw that 3 of the positions have been dedicated to center backs. I would be like, okay, because it's all about counter pressing. Now we've got 3 players that we can target to lose the ball, and you're taking away an option in the midfield to distribute. And personally, my preference is having the center midfield drop into the middle of the center backs, and that's your 3 at the back, and you can get away with that, and it's kind of like a fluid motion. So I don't know, but dedicating to 3 with 3 center backs, it just you take pace off the field, you take holding the ball in the midfield off the field, but if it works, it works. I mean, it's funny. Football used to be 5 at the back. And then it was 4-4-2, and then it was 4-2-3-1, and then it was 4-3-3, and now we're going back to 5 at the back. So, hey, whatever. Maybe it's full circle. Maybe Klopp will get smacked down, and it'll be the time to move for us to move 3 at the back, which he's thought about a couple times.
I mean, we played 4 at the back, a traditional back 4, this season.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wouldn't be out of the blue.
Okay.
So he could do it. I think now that I think about it more, with Davies having just come back from illness and Rose coming back from injury, maybe he does that. Gives him a little more help.
Yeah.
As opposed to just expecting them to.
Yeah.
Do it out of
Well, we're going to be coming out with our only lineup. It'll be Alberto Moreno. It'll be Matip, Lovren, and then it'll be Joe Gomez at right back, who you got to watch out for. The lad can put in the ball now, okay? Don't be surprised if he gets an assist, okay? Mignolet in goal, quite obviously. And then we'll do, I don't know, there's been a lot of calls for James Milner because he absolutely bossed the game in Maribor. And when he came on against Man United, he did a really good job as well. There's a lot of calls for him to come in. Henderson, I'm a Henderson, supporter. He's got
a lot of people are.
Yeah, it's funny. It's one of those things where if you're the quarterback who comes in after Dan Marino, everyone expects you to be Dan Marino. If you're the center midfield wearing the captain armband for Liverpool, if you're not Steven Gerrard, you're now crap.
Right.
And to be fair though, he doesn't have the shooting ability of Stevie, and he doesn't have the passing range of Stevie, but he can pick a pass. He can read the game really well, and he can close down space when he's on it. When he's not on it, he just looks like he's lost. When he's on it, he can close down the space, and he's the best in the Premier League at hitting crosses from outside the box. Not side of the box, but if you step out, not on the wing, just a little bit further out. I don't know how to describe that area of the pitch.
I get you.
Yeah, around the corner of the 18-yard box, hitting it across the back post. He plays that ball better than anyone else. It's outrageous. If you go on YouTube and you watch all of Jordan Henderson's assists, all his best ones are from that area of the pitch, crossing it. But James Milner came in against Maribor and looked like he was 26 again and was going down the wing and skinning players and putting in crosses. And he even passed up on an open goal to put it across and let someone else score. He just looked like he was showing Klopp hey. And the other interesting thing that happened is Emre Can played the 6 in Maribor. And that's kind of the whole... Emre Can's in his last year of his contract. Hasn't signed yet. It's November. Basically, almost, and January he can talk to clubs and sign for free. So it's cheeky bum time. Part of the problem is he wants to play. He wants to play the number 6, which I think he can play. I think he's more suited playing box to box. What's funny is that Jordan Henderson is our number 6, and Klopp is insistent that he's going to be our number 6. But Jordan Henderson used to play box to box and was pretty decent at it. And in fact, the season we finished second, he was scoring goals and assisting, and he was always in the attacking play, and he actually looked pretty brilliant. And that was when Stevie was playing the number 6. So I don't know what the problem is there with playing Emre in the 6 as opposed to Henderson and letting Henderson. I don't know if Klopp doesn't believe in it or if Klopp's this is the way I'm going to have it. But, Emre Can played the 6 in Maribor and did a good job. He played the 6 for Germany against Azerbaijan and scored a brilliant goal and did a good job. Juventus is the ones that came asking for him in the summer, and we turned him down. And they're going to let him play the number 6. So, I mean, maybe it's time to switch up the midfield a bit, let James Milner get another game in there. But if
You think
not,
he's too slow?
no, I mean, you guys aren't fast enough for me to worry about James Milner's pace, especially in the position that he'd be playing. Because the way our midfield works is you have the holding midfielder, the 6, and then you have the 7 and the 8, and the 7 kind of drops back in more often than not and rotates with the 6, and then the 8 is up in the attack and is kind of like a center attacking midfielder more than he is a center midfielder. And so James Milner against Maribor, he played the 8, and he was up and moving around fluidly and being out on the wing, on the other wing, dropping into the midfield. So I don't think his pace would be so much of an issue because it wouldn't be on him to be tracking back and doing most of the defensive work.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, is Eric Dyer the paciest man alive?
He isn't.
Is Winks? Yeah.
He's quick. He's 20. He's got
Okay, well,
pep in his step.
we have enough people there in the midfield, hopefully, to pack it down, and Mo can track back a little bit. But yeah, I don't think his pace would be much of an issue, even if he does play. And like Jordan Henderson is not setting any world land records anytime soon. So I would prefer to let Jordan Henderson go back in. But if James Miller's in form and Klopp believes in him and he plays him, I'll put my hands up. I would like to see Henderson, Sean, Milner, because Wijnaldum, he's just been like really busy during the season. Like he looks like he's doing a lot. He'll be running around, but he's not really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like he's doing all the right like energy work and but he gets the ball and he'll make it's not anything key or necessary. It's just kind of like part of the process. And,
Hey, you need that.
yeah, I know, but it's, last year he was like, making runs and getting on the wing and putting in crosses, scoring goals against Arsenal and stuff like that. And the season it hasn't been there yet. I don't know if that has to do with Holland being so terrible in World Cup qualifying or what, but yeah, a little switch up. And then obviously it'll be Coutinho, Firmino, Salah. And then in the 70th minute, if it's 0-0, he'll put on Daniel Sturridge, and then in the 80th minute, if it's 0-0 or 1-0 to you guys, he'll put on Dom Solanke, and that's all we do. And it's the one complaint I have about Klopp is that it's always the same.
How much do you fear the Hurricane?
Oh, listen, man. He's already scored on us, so it's not a thing don't let him score on us. So he's already scored. So he's in the form of his life. He's killing the Premier League. He's scoring hat tricks for fun, and all that has to come to an end at some point. It always does. No one ever goes the whole season scoring 18 million goals every 20 seconds.
He did it last year.
I'm trying to remember. He didn't score against us at Anfield, and wasn't the first match 1-1? And he did score. Did he score a penalty? I know James Milner scored a penalty. It was 1-1. Maybe that's the one I was thinking about earlier that I was upset about that we didn't win. Not the first one we played. That's the thing for you guys. I had to say this, is that if you guys want to be challengers and you want to be a top 4, you've got to beat us.
Yeah.
You've beaten Chelsea in the last 2-3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
You've beaten Arsenal in the last 2-3 seasons. You've beaten Man United.
Yep.
And you've beaten Man City.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You've beaten all those teams in the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yep.
You haven't beaten us. And that includes a Liverpool that was shit. Garbage. Absolutely terrible. That includes, Liverpool finishing 7th. And, you got to beat us. If you guys are going to be crowned champions of England, you got to beat us. And until you get that, it's going to become a thing. I don't think they talk about it much now in the press, but it'll become a thing where they're like, Tottenham hasn't beat Liverpool in
It's been 10 games in a row.
Yeah.
It's been
5 seasons, yeah.
7 losses and 3 draws.
I was trying to remember the last time that you beat us.
I think it was 2012.
Yeah, and
At the end of the actual calendar year, because I remember, I was working in the pharmacy and I had it on there was a computer in the IV room,
Yeah.
and I had the game streaming, and I remember we throttled you guys, and I was like, yeah, and then that was the last time.
Yeah, I have a friend that is a Spurs supporter, and he's finally learned this year, because usually the week before the game, he'll always be sending me, posts. Hey, we're going to get you, or text, Spurs is coming for Liverpool. And I always tell him, like, you're jinxing yourself. He hasn't done it this year, so you guys might have a chance.
So it's his fault.
It is his fault. It's absolutely his fault. Because it's outrageous to think you guys haven't beaten us in 5 seasons. Burnley's beaten us. So, like, you know, Wolves has beaten us. Tottenham, what's going on here, man?
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't have to play you at home. You know, we get to play you in neutral ground.
This is something I wanted to mention. And I think everyone makes a big deal about the size of the pitch, but I think it's because you're at Wembley and everyone wants to, like...
Yeah, that is it.
Like,
It would be like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of something equivalent. It'd be like if you're a baseball player and you get to play at Fenway, you know, or you get to play at Yankee Stadium. Wembley is notoriously like the home of English football, and England is, for all intents and purposes, labeled as the home of organized football. So you're basically playing in the stadium for world football, in a way. So yeah, the players. Some of those players will never play at Wembley that you guys are playing.
That's what I was going to say, because it's also the home of all the cup finals.
Yeah.
So a lot of those guys are never going to play there, ever.
Yeah.
Unless they play us.
Yeah.
And so they get to play a cup final against us, and I think that's hurt.
Yeah, it does. I mean, so for you guys, like, I don't know, maybe like the first couple games, like your players would have been like, "Ooh, cool, we're playing at Wembley. Let's have him, lads." And then after that, it's just the same old for you guys.
Yeah.
But you know, Liverpool fans are going to come down in the droves right into London, right into Wembley Station. You know, they're going to go to it's going to be like a cup final atmosphere for the fans. They're going to go to the pubs that they usually go to before the cup final, and they're going to walk on Wembley, and they're going to walk into the stadium, buzzing. You know, players are going to come down the coach right into Wembley, and Liverpool does need to exercise some Wembley demons. After the last time we lost to Man City on penalties. Mm-hmm. Only time we've ever lost a penalty shootout in a cup final, yeah. Yeah, I was there. The only time we've ever lost a shootout. I got to take it in with my own 2 eyes. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't help you guys. I mean, look at West Ham. They're struggling playing in a soulless stadium. There's something to be said about playing in your own stadium where there's history and there's passion. Like, you know, there's energy there, and there's no energy for you guys at Wembley.
No, there's not. But I'm really glad we lost that bid for the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
It's just so far out there, and it's not a football stadium. It's an Olympic stadium.
It's in the name.
Its setup is terrible. The atmosphere doesn't hold itself in there. You're too far away from the pitch to see anything. Like, it's all bad. And for West Ham fans, like, going from Anne Boleyn ground, you know, like I said, like their soul, just selling it, and going to some empty. And apparently, like, for the West Ham fans, the Olympic Stadium hasn't done a lot to make them feel like they're at home. Mm-hmm. Like the surrounding atmosphere pre-match isn't there, and inside the stadium it's all kind of dull. I don't know how it is for Wembley, but I mean, you can't possibly. Do they sell out every home game?
No.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
And I don't know if that's a thing for players. I think they recognize what's going on. Like,
but they don't sell all 90,000. Yeah. I mean, they don't open it up.
Oh, okay.
They keep it.
That's weird too. I don't know.
So like the top tier is always empty. Yeah. But the new stadium that we're building.
Yeah, but you gotta walk into that stadium in a better position than Arsenal walked into their stadium.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. Because I mean, you could have the shiniest stadium in the world, but if you aren't winning shit, then people don't show up.
True.
You know, I mean, look at Man City. They built that huge stadium, and no one can show up for Champions League matches, and they're one of the best teams in England. So, hey, whatever, you know. But yeah, I mean, the Wembley thing's definitely a thing, man. I mean, there's something to be said about having your own home stadium, and you guys don't have any home games, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like there's nothing special about it that's specifically for you guys. It's not like, you know, Harry Kane can go in his locker and start etching stuff into the locker, whatever. You know, just I'm not saying that's what players do, but I'm sure there's stupid little things that they have, like in their own locker room. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna leave my socks. And no, you can't, because England has to play in here, and there's gonna be a concert. Take your socks home. It's you know, yeah, you just show up and you don't have that feeling. Oh, we're at home. It's you know, but. I think as the season goes on, you guys are a big enough squad. You're not West Ham.
I appreciate you saying that.
You have professional players that want to win stuff. And, like, I think you guys playing in that stadium last season in the Champions League helps a little bit.
A little bit.
But it's still a thing, yeah. And I'm banking on it that our lads will come down and be like, we're at Wembley. Let's give it a go. Klopp will probably have a whole thing in his pre-match about, the last time I was at Wembley, it was bad. I want to go there and make it better, It was the whole Crystal Palace thing,
Mm.
After his first 6 months in England, he had a random interview. And like, hey, so what do you think about your time in England? And he said something to the effect like, the weather's interesting. It's not that bad, but the only thing I'm upset about is that fucking Crystal Palace match. So he holds a grudge. So I'm sure he's holding a Wembley grudge somewhere inside him, and he'll want to exercise the demons. But yeah, it'll be open. It'll be flowing. It'll be entertaining. The best team, may they win. But I don't know. I feel like you guys. I don't think at Wembley is the right time for you guys to exercise the Liverpool demons.
I don't think so either. Are you smelling a draw?
I 100% think it's going to be a draw. Probably 2-2. I hope it's you guys going up 2-1 and us tying 2-2 rather than us being up 2-1 and tying 2-2. But yeah, I don't see us keeping you out, but I also don't see us being held scoreless. Not especially after we seem to figure it out midweek. But yeah, it feels like a draw. It looks like a draw.
Will we be happy with a draw?
No. I mean, if we had beaten Watford, if we had beaten, Leicester in the League Cup, if we had won the games and had gotten the results that we should have gotten, drawing Tottenham, I'd be like, yeah. But we're at the point of the season now where we're not too far behind you guys on the table. I think we're only 2 points, 3 points back.
I think it's 4.
4?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the point. Drawing you guys keeps us 2 games back. Beating you guys puts us 1 game back. And it's early in the season. There's plenty of football to be played, but you still got to get these points early in the season. And we didn't get the points that we should have, and now it's to the point where, like last week, Man United was a can't lose. The drawing them was all right, but the fact that we drew them means that we have to beat you guys. We have to keep any fake title aspirations alive.
Right.
Or we can just accept the fact that we're going to finish 4th and be like, this is a season about recouping and staying status quo, stay in the Champions League, keep your players. No one's unhappy.
Basically, be Arsenal.
Yeah, well, but the difference between us is that we weren't there for 20 years, sitting in 4th place and just stagnating. We're on the up and up. Finishing 2 years in a row 4th would be progression for us, which is sad to say in that way, but it's the truth. I'm not gonna lie about the situation. But yeah, be Arsenal. Tread water for 1 season, get the extra transfer budget in, and then from there move forward. Buy some defenders. And yeah. But if we want to pretend like, Klopp said that, at the beginning of the season, they asked him, can you win the Champions League? And he said, I believe it's a possibility for any of the 20 teams to win the Premier League. So yes, we will try to win the Premier League. I love me a Klopp quote. Great guy. So yeah, if we're going to pretend that, then we got to beat you guys. We have to, because we put ourselves in this situation where now you got to beat all the top 6 again.
Yeah.
Which is, because that's the whole point. Last season we didn't do enough outside the top 6 games, and we beat everyone in the top 6, undefeated. I think we only dropped points against Manchester City away and Man United twice.
You tied us.
Oh, and it tied you guys. So we had 4 draws. So we dropped 8 points. Ooh. In the top 6, but outside the top 6, we dropped Swansea, Sunderland. It's January. It was just... And so we've already put ourselves in that situation where it's like, hey, yeah, you've drawn Watford, you've drawn Burnley, you've done this nonsense again. You got whooped by Man City. So, yeah, we have to beat you guys. I wouldn't be happy with it. I wouldn't be upset and distraught, oh, we drew. But I would be like, damn it, okay. I would start looking at the table going, okay, when does Chelsea, when does Man City play?
Right.
Who plays when? Oh, God. So I'm looking at the fixtures going, okay, this weekend we can pick up 2 points. And that's, yeah. And at that point, you're just better off going, you're probably not going to win the league. And I don't want to give up those hopes so early in the season. But, hey, if we don't beat you guys, then we're not going to win the league. If we beat you, then we have a slight chance of slowly building ourselves back into it. And, of course, it's a long season, and Man City are being crowned champions already, but they slipped off last year.
They did.
And they could always, lose some key players and lose some form. But it's looking like one of those seasons where you got to keep pace with the teams at the top who are just going to keep winning. And like last season was a season where points were dropped, first place, second place switched around a bunch, and then eventually towards the end it kind of evened itself out. And Chelsea, once they went on that run mid-season, ran away with it or whatever. The year before that with Leicester was one of those down seasons too. But yeah, this is another one of those. I guess last season was a down season. Chelsea had that 13-game run.
Yeah.
I guess I'm talking out my rear end. But yeah, I mean, if the top teams are just going to keep winning every week, you have to beat everyone if you're not the top team.
Yeah.
And the pace that Man City is keeping right now is one of which that they're seemingly not going to lose ever at this point. You're just going to go, yeah, they're going to score 18 goals against everyone. And just walk the pitch. So a draw I would be okay, but we need to win. How about you?
I think we'll draw.
Yeah, we will.
It hurts because no offense, but I think we're a better team.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
But I just don't.
You're entitled to your opinion.
I think I think this is just the exact Tottenham thing to do. Go to Madrid, tie Madrid, come home, lay an egg.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's why I wanted you guys to beat Madrid. I think it would have been more likely you would lay an egg if you would come into the game like, yeah, we beat Madrid. I think then if you had beaten Madrid, I would be more confident and be like, we might win this one. But no, this way, it's a draw written all over it,
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
And it'll put the Liverpool fan base in a position where we're like, okay, but we did just draw like a big team, but it's another draw in the league. That's the problem, is we just another draw in the league.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if you play City, Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham in the span of 2 weeks, every 3 days, and you drew them all, you might be like, okay, whatever. Okay, we can live with that. But when it's been like, it's so bad that I don't even remember the teams that we drew against because I just watched them from my brain. But it's getting to the point where it's like, oh God, we didn't beat Watford, and then we didn't beat Burnley again, and then who else? Who else have we drawn against? I can't even remember. But yeah, it's getting to the point where like another draw, even though it is Tottenham, it's like,
right.
We need to get more points. We need to get the points.
Yeah.
Stay pace. Can't start falling back too far.
It's too soon to fall back.
Yeah, it is, but it isn't. We're already in November.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's too soon to
be
this
right.
far.
Yeah. And like be like 7 points off.
Yeah.
On the top.
And you're like, well, there that goes.
Yeah. Unless you're gonna this is the other thing is like after what Chelsea did last season, we could always just pull a Chelsea.
13 games.
We just win 13 games in a row. Pick up 39 points like that. Just yeah. You can dream, right? Right? That's what football's about. It's about dreaming. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. And I hope that that we beat the snot out of you on Sunday morning, and that I can gloat for a few months. Because that's what football's about, is rubbing it into your friends' noses that their team is not as good as yours.
That's all that matters.
That's all it's about. I don't care about the games. I just want to rub into someone's nose that my team is so much better than theirs. But yeah, I'm just, at least we know that it won't be like the Man United match. It'll be exciting. For the neutral, it'll be great. And I'm looking forward to it. It will be anxious, which is always a good feeling before the match. I like that feeling. It's a big match. I don't like waking up and it's like, oh, it's West Brom, and I feel sick to my stomach that we're going to lose. I like waking up and being like, oh, it's Tottenham. This is going to be a tough one, lads. Can we do it? Not like, oh, I guess West Brom going to beat us in the 89th minute with a header from Olsen.
Yeah.
Please, no.
Right.
So yeah, this is what it's about, Where are you guys at? Third? Fourth? Third? How many points after 8? It's 8, 9? 9.
No.
8?
What?
10?
No. We're like 5. We're like, I think 5 points away from City. We're a couple points from United.
Well, I mean, how many matches in?
Oh.
It's 8 matches in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird that it's already almost November and we're only 8 matches into the
Too many international
Yeah,
breaks.
I hate the international breaks.
Anyway, we can talk about that later.
Hi, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was fun.
Come on, you Reds.
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Until next time, guys.